All right, let's flip it over to the other side of the ball here because it was the Eagles that were dominating early on. You mentioned it on Sunday night. You mentioned it earlier here, but they were just getting field goals instead of touchdowns, and then it fizzled out a little bit. The 49ers made it very difficult on them. With your deeper dive, what did you see that maybe you didn't expect to see or that tells the story of why the Eagles had it harder against this 49ers defense?
I think early on they moved the ball, third down conversions. The big thing and the shock to me is two things, especially early on. The 49ers played a lot of man early on. They usually don't. You hear me talk about it all the time. The 49ers don't like to play man. That's not what they are. They're not real good at it, right? They don't have those type of corners. That's not what they do. But they came out in this one and played a significant amount the first 2-3 drives of the football game where I was kind of like, whoa, and I was sitting there going, like, why? I don't understand it. Like, why would you do this? But, I think hearing some of their post-game comments and then thinking about the game big picture-wise, I think it was two things. One, they weren't going to let the Eagles' run game start getting off on them early in the game. Eagles start running the ball, and then you're so worried about the run. A little bit like we talk about the 49ers. Now play, action, pass, Hurts run game works, all of it, and you're like, oh, no, our heads are spinning. So they wanted to squash that. I think the other part of that is they wanted to squash Hurts scrambling. They didn't want him to get in a rhythm and start making the game this scramble fest to where he feels like he's going to run all game. So I think they put an an added emphasis on early in the game. They're not going to run. Hurts isn't going to run around on us. If he hits us and beats some passes man to man, then so be it. But I think they were willing to live with that rather than, oh my gosh, there goes Swift 20 yards up the middle. There goes Swift 20 yards off the right. Oh, Hurts, scrambled and got 15 yards. That is when the Eagles become a real pain in the ass, and I think that was the reason we saw that early on.
We've talked much about, what Jalen Hurts can do, what he cannot do, some of his limitations, some of the things that he's gotten better at and reading defenses and making the right play.
Right.
From watching the film on this, what are still like the main areas of improvement for Jalen Hurts moving forward?
We've hit on this. He's playing real good football. We know that, right? Am I shocked that he's still in the MVP conversation? 100%. I don't understand that. I'm just going to say that. Okay? I mean, it's one of the league leaders in turnovers, right? One of the league leaders in sacks with the most time to throw in all of football, right? Right? And you've heard me say the last few weeks, there's some bad habits being performed here. Right? I'll even look, the play he got hurt on, there was people open. I don't know why he ran, right? He just sees a lane and he runs. And I go, step up in the pocket. I think it was Zacchaeus on the right side is up the seam. He's wide open for a 20-yard completion, right? He's tempting the fate of the football gods a little too much. I know we look at it and go, oh, he ran for 5, but there's a lot of plays lately where I've gone, yeah, but there's a completion open for 20. That was a great run for 5, but if he just stayed in the pocket, he's going to throw a completion for 20 yards. So I feel like there's a little bit too much backyard football creeping into his game right now. That would be my one complaint. And I think he left a few plays on the field, because of that the other night.
We've seen him in the past be able to, make the right reads. And
he makes the right reads a lot of the times. I think he's just like maybe putting a little too much pressure on himself to make plays, get things going. Their offense hasn't quite been the machine that we've known it to be, especially compared to last year, right? I think there's a little bit of that, But yeah, it was a weird one, too, because as you saw from my notes, I've never seen anybody block the 49ers front like that in my life. I mean, some of the sacks he took, he had plus 7 seconds to throw the football, right? And they were in bad moments. The 6-0, right? On second down, he lost 15 yards. It was, I want to say, like 2nd and 7. That took about their chance to go make it 3rd and short and run it on 3rd and short, and then push, we get the first down, maybe we score a touchdown, right? So there's just a handful of plays like that where it's still really good, but I've said it against Kansas City, I said it against Buffalo, and I'd be not fair to my evaluations to tell you again that, yes, there's a little bit of that creeping into his game right now that he's got to clean up, let alone, too, they are too pass happy. Right? What did I write at one point? They were up 6-0 and they threw the ball 11 plays, 10 out of 11 plays out of that. The next, like, where's the run game? So I didn't understand that. But after those first 2 drives, and them moving the ball down, the 49ers got out of that man-to-man and kind of got back to what they normally do, which is their Seattle threes, their cover fours, and their other creative little zones that they like to run behind that great front four.
There's a couple things here, too, and the 49ers had to blitz a little bit, third down blitzes later in the game, I think, too, and the Eagles actually were quite successful on converting some of those third downs.
When they played man or blitzed, the Eagles won. And that's what happened on the first few drives. I mean, early on in the game, I think they were like, 5 for 5 or 6 for 6 on third downs, right? It was because of what you were talking about. It was blitz, it was man-to-man, and he was like, wait, it's A.J. Brown on this guy? Boom, I'm going to hit him. What's Devontae Smith on that guy? Boom, I'm going to hit him. He's better than your guy. And those were great. Those were the right plays all the way.
But they might have felt like they had to do that as the game went on, because I think that was one of the more surprising things, is you said that Lane Johnson just shut down Nick Bosa.
I've never seen anybody do that to their D-line, and I've never seen anybody do what Lane Johnson did to Nick Bosa, right? And there's a bunch of plays, too, where Nick Bosa comes in, speed to power, and he kind of moves Lane Johnson. You're like, oh, whoa, he's going to push him back into Jalen Hurts. And Lane Johnson just goes and stops him, like in his tracks. You're like, what? What kind of human are you? Because I've seen Nick Bosa in person, and I don't think there's a human on earth that can stop him when he wants to run as hard as he can. And that was the incredible aspect of the football game. But, the 49ers with their coverages, and how well they are, and the way the Eagles attack, which I tell you again, is not as creative as it was last year when they had Shane Steichen. They don't have as many answers in the pass game as they used to, and I think that's one of the problems of their offensive efficiency as well.
49ers now going to take on the Seattle Seahawks. 49ers won 31-13 just a couple weeks ago. It's not like the Seahawks are playing that much better since then, although they had a shootout with the Dallas Cowboys last time we saw them. What are your thoughts going into that one?
Well, I think the 49ers are rolling, and I think the Seahawks are reeling. So one team's rolling, the other one's reeling, and I think it's a bad matchup with the Seahawks. I don't see a lot of avenues in which they can pull an upset other than like Purdy throws a dumb interception or two, McCaffrey fumbles, maybe they get a strip sack, right? It's going to take something like that. If the game's played on relatively even terms, the 49ers going to win that football game. They're too good. And between the struggles of the Seahawks on the red zone or third down, those aren't good things with the 49ers because they thrive in that type of stuff.
And then for the Eagles, maybe our biggest game on Sunday night this year.
Yeah.
You got the 10-2 Eagles facing the 9-3 Dallas Cowboys. You mentioned the Seahawks are reeling. Maybe the Cowboys, maybe this is their time.
This is their time. If they want to get it, it's now, right? Eagles are not playing their best football. You just talked about how they were exhausted going into this game. Now they're going to go into another game just like it, right? I mean, they've played 3 battles in a row. And now they're going to Dallas, who has had this marked on their calendar, and they like to play at home and all of that. The big thing is going to be this, as we always talk about with this matchup. Can Dallas's speed disrupt the size of the Eagles? They are always compromised when they play the Eagles and the 49ers because they get pushed around up front, and they have to relegate more people to stopping the run game or stopping the front, and it causes issues for them everywhere else. We'll see if they can stand up to it. We'll see. The offense is hitting on all cylinders in Dallas right now. The Eagles' defense, as you said, every week is kind of getting torn apart right now. Josh Allen tore them apart, right? Isaiah Pacheco tore them apart the week before that. The whole 49ers team tore them apart last week. So they got them reeling, certainly. Going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But, yeah, Eagles are still really good. There's just some things. Hurts can play cleaner. They can be more patient with the run game. They need to trick it up on defense a little bit. I think they're a little too bland and simple at times, and I think that'll go a long way. We'll see where they go from here. But, it's interesting. And that's it. I'm good.
That's it.
Yeah.
We've put a
I think
period.
So. I don't think I missed anything else, did I?
No, that was it. That was. I think that was most of it. If anything comes to mind, we can say it as we go on here.
All right, cool.
The Cowboys are 3.5 points favorites at home.
Wow, 3.5.
The Eagles.
That's significant.
That is a little surprising.
Yeah.
in our game of the year on Sunday Night Football on NBC.
Yo, what up, homies? Thanks for watching. Remember, subscribe to Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Right now, we got Sunday Pod, right? So you can have it Monday morning. We recap all the action. Wednesday, it's the What the Happened podcast. We're going to get deep in the weeds on the key matchups of the week. And then Thursday, I'm picking games with that jerk Florio. So you know where to find us, homies. Keep watching. Peace out. We'll see you.